President Biden is meeting with Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell today.
That's right. The meeting comes as millions of Americans are growing increasingly anxious now about inflation. Mr. Biden wrote an op-ed in the Washington Post which says the Federal Reserve has the primary responsibility to control inflation, and he will avoid meddling in their process. The president also says he will do everything in his control to make things more affordable for American families during this time of economic uncertainty.
Joining us now is Heather Long. She's an economic columnist at the Washington Post. Heather, welcome. Great to see you. So, of course, everyone is afraid of the R word. So what tips do you have for Americans who may be concerned about the possibility of a recession? And how do you think this conversation between the Fed chair and the president might play out?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, inflation is the #1 issue on most Americans' minds. I expect the president and the Fed chair, Jerome Powell, to stress that there's been a little bit of good news, that inflation may have peaked, but obviously it's how fast is it really going to come down? And most people can drive, as you drive around and live your daily life, you're still seeing record high gas prices. I believe it hit $4.62 a gallon today, something we've never seen before, really high grocery store prices. And unfortunately, for a lot of people who are struggling, the rents, to rent your home or rent an apartment, continue to climb at a really uncomfortably high rate. So there isn't a lot of relief in those three areas anytime soon. And in terms of what people can do, I think that's a great question. The #1 thing I have advice right now, if you're thinking of getting a new job or you want to maybe switch jobs or try to get a raise at work, do it now. The job market is still very hot. There's a lot of job openings, a lot of hiring, a lot of pay raises going on. But even if we avoid a recession and we just slow down later this year, which is quite likely, it's going to get harder and harder to find that new job and to have that bargaining power that you have right now.
Interesting, Heather. Hang on to that thought because I want to hear more about that. There are so many people job hopping right now, but the fear of a recession is leading folks to be reluctant. And we just don't know what the White House and the synergy with it and the Federal Reserve are doing and if it will actually have the preferred outcome. So in your view, what will be our first sign that things are going well? And for those who are job hopping and looking for other opportunities, how can they gauge how intelligent a decision that would be at a time like this?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the #1 thing to watch as we go through the next few months is how are the jobs doing? Do we continue to see a lot of jobs added every month? At the moment, we've been adding about 400,000 or more jobs a month, which is really strong. We expect that to come down a little bit to more like 200,000. That was more like what we saw before the pandemic hit, if any of us can remember that period. So I'd keep an eye on that. The other thing is, do people continue to spend? And the American economy is really built on people going out, spending money on travel, on vacations, on restaurants, on baseball games, and on home furnishings and renovations. Right now, that spending still looks strong, but the Federal Reserve, when they hike those interest rates, is purposely trying to slow down some of that spending. The question is, do we just slow down a little bit, or do we come to that screeching halt and turn into a recession? At the moment, I'm still optimistic, but again, even if we slow down, it's going to be harder and harder for the middle class and a lot of hourly workers. They're probably going to see a little bit of your hours cut back later this year, and hiring is going to get a lot harder probably later this year.
And that, of course, in turn will cause fewer people to feel like going shopping, right, Heather?
Exactly. It starts to become a bit of a downward spiral.
Right. All right. Well, Heather Long, thank you so much for your financial expertise. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Heather.
Thank you.